head table first, and then we will invite those that are connected online. We'll start with this gentleman. After Mr. Blees, can you introduce yourselves, and then we'll go around.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning again. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lieutenant Junior Grade Mark Chok from the Belize Coast Guard. I am the operations officer. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Brigadier General, retired formerly of the Belize Defense Force and of the Ministries of Defense, Home Affairs, and National Security Council.
Good morning, everyone. Alison McLaughlin, Superintendent of Police, the officer commanding the Tourism Police Unit.
Mike Hernandez from the Ministry of Tourism.
Marcelo Garbo, the enforcement team and inspection enforcement.
Available as the technician of the state with the meeting today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joyce Stone, and I'm the Associate Director for Research and Enforcement at the Institute of Archaeology.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Belize Port Authority.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And now we will offer the opportunity for those that are online to please introduce yourself. Just state your name and the organization that you represent, please. So please go ahead. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please. Just introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Marcial Alamina III, and I represent Friends of Swallow Key. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome. Anybody else?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Kathy Miller, representing Veteran Belize Community on Mullinjon Road.
Welcome. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Victor Mulligan, representing for Street Tourism Village, PFSO.
Good morning, Victor. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I'm Carlene Sanchez, representing BTIA Dangriga.
Welcome, Ms. Sanchez.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Roberto Canul here, representing the San Pedro Tour Operators Association.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Canul. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Miriam Martinez, representing Mark Farm Tree Houses and Cabañas on Tidal Road in Cayo.
Good morning, Ms. Martinez.
Morning, Daniel Mendez, representing Nemo.
Good morning, Mr. Mendez.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Stanley Gideon. I'm representing the Department of Civil Aviation as the Deputy Director.
Okay, good morning, Stanley. Welcome.
Morning, Luis Verde here, Regional Integration Coordinator for the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations.
Good morning, Mr. Verde. Welcome to the session.
Good morning, Denise Oki here, representing BTIA, City Tour Operator.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, Javier Castellanos, BTB, Enforcement.
Morning, Javier. Anybody else?
Good morning. Mr. Oliver Guerrero, representing to the Institute for Development and Environment, TIDE here in Toledo.
Okay, good. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Varsha Clark Martinez, Belize Tourism Board, Manager of the Cruise and Capacity Development Department.
Morning, Varsha.
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is Mr. Abner Bakab from Island Emergency Services Ambulance Service here in San Pedro.
Morning, Abner.
Thank you.
Good morning, Greg Najarro from Victoria House Resort and Spa in San Pedro.
Okay, good morning. Welcome.
Morning, Jacob Leslie, Registrar of Hotels, BTB.
Okay, morning, Jacob.
Good morning, it's Danny, working with the BTB marketing team, Global Travel Trend Specialist. Excited to be here. Thanks so much.
All right, good morning. Nice to welcome you.
Morning, everyone. Dwayne Pitch from Belize Audubon Society.
Hey, Dwayne. Thank you for joining.
Good morning, Conway Young, representing the community of Babon Sanctuary.
Morning. I think that's it. All right, then. So we will now proceed with brief video highlighting the impact of crime on the tourism sector. So we ask our IT specialist here.
I just want to before the video is presented, a little. It's more than 10 minutes, about 14 minutes, but it's in two parts. The first part, the video deals with the safety and security of tourism overall. It's ideal. It kind of tells us what the tourism industry in South Africa is doing to improve overall security in the tourism industry. In the last year or so, what you will see in the video, in about a year and a half or so, we here at the BTB have had similar conversations in terms of what you will see South Africa do for their tourism industry. The second part of the video is going to speak to overall global tourism and what it is looking like in 2024. So let's look at it.
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation. I think that was very important. Also, we set the stage for why we're showing the video. Okay, so we will ask now of our chief technician of duty to assist us with the video. Yeah, Mr. Javier.
Tourism industry is taking steps to beef up security in the sector. Minister Patricia de Lille has addressed this with several stakeholders. Provincial tourism MECs, the South African Police Service, the NPA, and those in the private sector have met to coordinate a strategy to help tourists, to keep tourists safe rather. De Lille says safety is a concern in many parts of the world, and this has been echoed by several tourism ministers which she's engaged with in the recent weeks. Let's unpack this further. We're now joined by Michael Tolman from the Tourism Business Council of South Africa. Thank you so much for your time, Michael. We do appreciate it. I think that's probably one of the biggest concerns and challenges that the tourism sector faces, especially here in South Africa. Looking at our recent crime stats and looking how tourists are often attacked here in South Africa. How is the tourism sector going to deal with this and try and make South Africa a safer space? It's obviously a collaboration with all stakeholders, but it's obviously going to be a very difficult one to achieve.
Well, good evening, Heidi. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, this is probably our biggest issue in our sector. We're firstly very grateful that tourism has returned, and we're seeing huge demand for our beautiful country, both domestically and internationally. So this is the one thing that still worries us, probably as the largest barrier for significant growth, so that tourists can come and enjoy our country and go back and spread the word of what a great country South Africa is to visit. We met with the minister only 2 months ago, and we agreed wholeheartedly that we need to do something about this. We need to come together. And the first thing we agreed was that we need a close partnership, working together between the sector and government. And the meeting that we've just had reflects that. The minister called this meeting 2 months later and asked the sector, worked with the sector up through this period to come out with measures that can address what we feel is something that we can make a contribution towards. So we came together. This is the first type of meeting that we've ever had in our sector, certainly, where we shared various aspects of what we're all doing together in the private sector and the public sector. And there are many things we're doing and many things that are working very well. So that was really heartening to be sharing these ideas and also what is working, and to be able to roll that out further across the country. So it was, I would say, an excellent meeting. And we've also agreed to continue those collaborations, those meetings. And already, even after this meeting, we've had close meetings with the department and fruitful meetings. And there's a great relationship. There's really now, I would say, with the minister's outstanding leadership, there's actually a partnership going on, and it's going on at a rapid pace. We have agreed with the minister's support to roll out through the TBCSA, the Tourism Business Council, an app which is really going to bring, we believe, peace of mind to our tourists. It's an app that is already in the marketplace. It's called Secura, and it's used already domestically at quite an extensive level. It's been used also by tourists, domestic tourists. And what we're doing with the minister's support is we're going to roll out what is already in existence by one of our associations called SATSA. They took this app and used an initiative to develop the app for travelers with support around it to support travelers for their particular needs. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to roll this out from July, is ramp up that support with professional services as well as what SATSA already has, which is volunteers. We're going to ramp it up so that we can do a wide distribution. We've also coming out with a plan to roll this out through the sector to begin with, through tour operators, through travel agents, and also through other measures that we're working on. This app will basically allow you, for example, if you have a medical issue coming to this country, you're older, it'll give you the comfort that if you have any medical issues, you can press this app and within 15 minutes, an ambulance will be there to assist you. If you have any other issues, you're driving a car, you get lost or your car breaks down, you can also call the security side, and on average of 5 to 6 minutes, you'll have the closest private security vehicle will be there to assist you. So we think this app will bring peace of mind to people who want it, and we're certainly going to roll it up and make it available. Secondly, what came out of the meeting, which I think is very important, is the government's going to roll out 60 sites across the country with tourist monitors at each of these sites, and they'll be there to assist and tourists and just make them feel comfortable, help them with any information they'll need. And we know from history that this does make the area safer, both for tourists, domestic and international, and for local residents. So we're excited about that. I run a tourism company, Cullinan Holdings, which has about over 30 businesses in inbound, outbound, and vehicles across the country. And this is my biggest worry. And with these two, the rollout of these two programs, I really am confident that we've taken decisive steps, that this is a game changer.
Sure.
And they'll be in place for this season.
Yes, sorry to interject there, Michael. I just want to ask in terms of the establishment of the National Tourism Safety Forum. All these interventions that you've just mentioned, the app and these sites, does that form part of the National Tourism Safety Forum that has been established by the Minister to address these challenges, especially the safety concerns?
It does, but there are also others. There are many other measures that we've discussed, and we came out of that meeting with plans on how to deal with that. We are talking, for example, our sector, as I said, very closely with the department around some of those plans. But I think the most important thing is that the minister was very clear that she is going to be working hard to implement many of those measures. And that gives us a lot of confidence as our sector that we're on the right path. And we certainly began the journey with this meeting.
Okay, that's great news, Michael. I just want to end off by as much as you're saying there are these interventions and there are going to be these plans, for example, an app, if I think about, for example, my parents, they are not tech savvy. They will not be able to use any sort of app. And people looking into South Africa going, I actually don't want to go there. I don't want to risk my life despite these interventions. What is your message to them? Because domestically, it's almost as though South Africans, as much as we live with the reality of possibly being murdered or attacked every single day, because that is unfortunately our reality here, those looking in are saying, well, I have a choice not to go to South Africa and I'll rather go to another country. What you, as the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, what is your message to tourists wanting to come in here, even though you have all these interventions and they're saying, well, that actually isn't really good enough for us, we still don't feel safe and we'll rather pick another destination?
Heidi, I would say that the vast majority of tourists are coming to this country. It's a safe place to visit. We do have crime issues, as many other countries do. But tourists coming in, generally speaking, is a very small portion of the issues that crop up in this country. So we want to make sure that the sites have monitors at all the key sites that tourists would visit to make them feel comfortable, and that when they're staying in hotels in our country, they feel safe and they can travel around. So I certainly don't feel, whilst it is an issue, and it's an issue we want to deal with, I don't think it's an issue that is right now stopping people coming to this country. We've seen a huge amount of people coming. They're traveling safely, they're enjoying our country, and they're going home. But what we want to do is give them a greater peace of mind. So they go home after going to visit sites and saying how nice it feels to see monitors there, how nice it is that if they want an app, it's not an app for everybody. It's an app that also is not just, it's about really also safety. It's about health. So if they want an app, you're traveling, you're older and you're traveling around and you want to just have that safety and comfort, that's what this app is for. But generally speaking, our tourists are traveling and they're having a wonderful time. They're traveling home, and we want to make that better, more comfortable, and give them greater peace of mind. That's what this is all about.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's hope it makes some sort of difference, as we do want tourists. South Africa is a beautiful country, and of course we need international tourists and local tourists to boost our sector. Thank you so much for your time. That was Michael Tolman from the Tourism Business Council of South Africa.
According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, WTTC, 2024 is a record-breaking year for the travel and tourism sector. As the sector globally soars past its pre-pandemic prosperity, WTTC estimates 142 countries out of 185 to outperform their previous national record. The sector's global economic contribution is expected to reach a whopping high of $11.1 trillion, setting a new record and surpassing the previous record by an additional $770 billion. Since 2019, travel and tourism's financial footprint has been the largest, representing 9.1% of global GDP at just over $9.9 trillion in 2023. Internationally, the spending increased by 33.1% to reach $1.63 trillion and increased by 18% to reach almost $5 trillion domestically. According to the WTTC's 2024 Economic Impact Research, EIR, in association with Oxford Economics, the travel and tourism industry is responsible for around 348 million jobs globally. Compared to its 2019 peak, this indicates a significant growth of almost 13.6 million employment. This multifaceted sector serves as a cornerstone of many economies, such as transportation, hotels, food, entertainment, and more. While employing millions directly and indirectly, this industry embraces a diverse workforce. But its significance extends beyond job creation, as it injects foreign exchange earnings into host countries. For many countries, especially small island nations, tourism offers a means of diversifying their economies. While the worldwide picture is positive, China and the US, the two major tourism markets, are experiencing a lower recovery in international visitor spending. It remained more than a quarter below the peak of 2019 last year in the US, while China's spending was almost down by 60%. The future looks brighter with increased career opportunities and a decade of robust growth in this sector. WTTC forecasts a phenomenal contribution of $16 trillion to the global economy, which takes over 11.4% of the entire economic landscape. Alongside the impact on the GDP, the sector is expected to provide employment for approximately 449 million people, showcasing its pivotal role in global employment.
Right, thank you very much. Very interesting videos there, looking at what South Africa is doing in terms of security measures, the creation of the security out, then the various trends occurring worldwide, 348 million jobs being generated by the industry, which is very interesting. But ultimately, the main thing is that, well, we have a lot of movement of people, and obviously all countries, including Belize, obviously are concerned that the safety and security of our visitors should always be paramount. That's the main top priority, so that whenever our visitors come, they should be able to enjoy the beauty of Belize, the attractions, in what the gentleman said in the video, giving them peace of mind, so that in turn they will be able to have memorable, lasting experience of our beautiful Jewel Belize. So, having said that, then we will proceed now to the presentation. Mr. Bliss, you wanted to say something?
No,
yes.
I was going to say that. Sorry. Go ahead. No, I was going to say that based on what we see happening in South Africa, there are two elements of what we saw there that has been contemplated here in Belize. In fact, what we do have is their safety. There was a safety forum they mentioned. I think our version of that is the Tourism Security Task Force, which is assembled here this morning. And then there's also the concierge team that I think South Africa is saying that they will roll it out to 60 destinations across South Africa. I understand from what I've been hearing from our tourism ideas here is that we want to do the same thing by rolling out our concierge people. We do have them here in Belize City, working along from the FSTV site there, and we have them positioned around Belize City to assist the tourists as they come from off the cruise ship. And we want to do the same thing, I am told, across the country. So I think we're following closely behind what South Africa is doing.
Right. Very good. Thank you so much. Now, can we now proceed with the presentation? You could actually, there you could go again. Share your presentation. Okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we will hand it over to Mr. Raymond Mosiah, who is the business analyst at BTB, and his presentation will be looking at insights into key data affecting the tourism industry. So, what do you know, Mr. Mosiah?
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I will be sharing some data about where people are coming from, where they're going, and just touching a little bit on what are some of the factors that could affect those numbers. Okay. So, of course, you know that COVID had a major impact on Belize, and so the closure of the seaports in March of 2020, basically, cruise tourism was set on a no-go with a no-sail order. And so here we can see okay, so you can see the numbers have been extremely huge, and for 4 years consecutively we had exceeded 1 million cruise passengers total on board, and so we are slowly building up back to that. As you can see, 2023 was pretty good, and so we're getting back to those pre-COVID numbers. 2024 we won't meet that, but we're hoping that in the very near future we can do so. We can see here the data from the Fort Street Tourism Village. This data is basically reflecting what activities the cruise passengers engaged in, as well as the attractions they went to. I like to put a little caveat here, is that this basically summarizes the data for only the Fort Street Tourism Village, not for Harvest Key. It also reflects the data that for the tours that are leaving from the village and coming and passing through the booth that we have behind Memorial Park. This doesn't reflect the tour data for the tours, so because some of the tours leave directly from the ship and they go out to their activities. So here you can see the activities, and I've ranked the different activities in terms of frequency. The highest and the most popular activities from first, so cave tubing, and then at Jaguar Park. As you can see, the numbers don't reconcile at Jaguar Park, simply because at Jaguar Park you also have zip lining, you have ATV, and you have a couple other activities, so the numbers do not perfectly reconcile, but we understand why. So it's not an error in the data. So here for the people that passed through the tourist village and left by the Memorial Park, we can see that we had over 308,000 people that went on tours, and these are some of the sites. And so security would be an important issue at these sites. Can continue. Here we can see the overall visitors to the different attractions. Here, as you can see, Shunan is the biggest one, was the biggest one for 2023, and you have them again ranked. I have them ranked in order from 2023, from highest to lowest, and so you see the different sites and attractions where our visitors go. If you have any questions, you can free to ask me at any time. So these are the places that our visitors have gone. Then we have, those were the niche sites. The top half of this slide talks about the sites managed by the Belize Audubon Society. And so we have St. Herman's Blue Hole being the most prominent site that visitors have gone to. This is also a site that we notice that cave tubing is also done by the cruise passengers. Then we have the other sites that the Belize Audubon Society manage. As you can see in the bottom half of the slide, Paul Chan is an extremely popular destination for both the people, especially people that are coming from the overnight sector. We do have some people that go snorkeling there from the cruise as well. Cave tubing is big again, and then we have the Belize Zoo, very popular. This is one of the places where people go to get their views of different wildlife. Mountain Pine Ridge is another destination that is very popular as well. And then you have some of these smaller sites, and some of the other sites we were just trying to get some data on. Here, let me just share with you the data when it comes to the overnight tourist arrival. Now this is our bread and butter. This brings in about 90% of overall tourism spending in Belize. And so this is extremely important, and you will see, and I will refer to a couple of issues later on, and I'm sure that marketing will elaborate much more than I can on some of the factors that influence these. But there are a lot of external shocks, such as COVID, weather, and different types of things that impact the numbers. And so, like I said, the overnight sector is our bread and butter. They're bringing about 90% of the total tourism expenditure. We started our visitor expenditure and motivation survey in July through December of 2023, and the data is showing us that the average expenditure is US $333.04 per overnight visitor, and they are spending approximately 6.41 nights in Belize. And so safety and security is clearly a concern, because the less visitors we have, the less spend, and so on. I will talk about the multiplier effect very shortly. Okay, so based on our overnight sector, this is the visitor survey. I've highlighted the top few rows that show over 20% of the activities that people do. And so half of our people go to the Barrier Reef, half of our visitors go to the Barrier Reef. Water-based activities is very high. Beach is almost 50% as well. The archaeological sites, almost 1 in 3 visitors go there. Likewise for the national parks and reserves, and so on. So these are some of the main sites and attractions, and you will see all of these when the information is shared with you. Again, as you can see, water-based is very important. Snorkeling is the biggest thing. Of course, diving is there, but diving is not as popular, simply because to dive you need to be a certified diver. For snorkeling, you don't. And so we have a lot of people that engage in snorkeling. That has always been our biggest thing. And so visitor safety and security is extremely important, including not only security but water quality and all of those good things that come along with tourism planning. Here, I am sharing with you, based on our visitor survey from the US and Canada, the top places that people come from. As you can see, Texas is our #1 in the US, followed by California. Again, this data is limited because we only started in July of 2023. The survey is presently being conducted. Ever since July, we launched it, and we haven't stopped. And so it is presently going on 1 month per week. 1 week per month, sorry, for every month of the year. We've also launched a crew survey that has been spearheaded by BTB. The data shows that Canada, for Canada, Ontario, Alberta, and British Columbia are our biggest source markets out of Canada, and from Europe, the UK is always going to be our #1, and then you have the breakdown of the different markets. Very important for us. The US accounts for about 64% of our overnight arrivals, and so they are our biggest market. And so, as we say in the Caribbean, whenever the US sneezes, the Caribbean catches a flu, right? They are our biggest source market, and so there are a number of factors that we have to take into consideration in respect to our #1 source market, right? The Trafficking in Persons report, the image of the destination, and marketing department can speak about destination image much more than I can. But this says what is our status. We are currently at tier 2. When it comes to advisories and warnings and so on, of course, the State Department produces different things at different times of the year. You can see that in the bottom half, you see those for for 2024, and the one right at the top was for 2023. Weather, we don't have tornadoes in Belize, but tornadoes affect our market, and so sometimes the airport in Houston is closed, and so those affect our tourism arrivals. So this is just a little illustration to show you some of the different factors that can affect our source market into Belize. Here, this is showing the where the flights enter Belize from, and so these are from regional and North America. These are our top states ranked in order, Texas being number 1, California being number 2, Washington being number 3, and so on. So these are our top 10 states, our source markets. And of course, these are some of the weather patterns that can affect flights coming into Belize. And these here are just the locations, the exact locations where the flights are coming from. Again, the numbers can be affected by crime in Belize. And so when we have crisis, whether it is man-made or whether it is natural, you see a couple of stories there from 2023. In the case of the natural disasters, Tropical Storm Sarah caused cancellations on the 16th of November, and so you see 2 flights that were cancelled from Alaska Airlines. There is we're in a hurricane belt, and so we're always at risk. We've had Hurricane Beryl that affected us, Tropical Storm Sarah. We've had in 2022, we had Hurricane Lisa that cost about $9.5 million in terms of damages and so on. And so all of these have as I was saying, the multiplier effect, because the cancellations, when we have cancellations, they lead to people here, when we have these threats, people might cancel or they might leave early. And so money is lost for the accommodation sector, the restaurant, the food and beverage sector, the transportation sector, and so on. COVID taught us how important we are to agriculture, transportation, food and beverage, banking, and all of those things, right? So these are some of the things that will affect our arrival numbers. There are different reports out there, the global risk forecast that says where Belize ranks, and people look at these sometimes before they travel. This is a health map that talks about different things, and you can see in Mexico and in Florida, there are a couple issues that they have flagged. I'll just run through these again. Different crime, accidents, and so on. This was from 2015 when there was an accident just outside of the junction by Jaguar Park, and different things that affect the destination image. Again, from 2014, there was this article about Belize and sex tourism, and quickly we jumped on it and said, no man, we're not affiliated with that any at all. So these are some of the factors that can affect the tourism arrivals that come to Belize, and we're now in a digital age where as you say something, as you do something, it's all over the world. It's not just spreading in Belize. It's not gossip spreading in Belize. It's all over the world. And so things are posted, shared, and so on. We are interconnected. Right now, we are a global community. And so if you have any questions, please don't feel afraid to ask, or any comments to share. So I hope I didn't take too long, Mr. Bees.
No, all right, no, thank you. Thank you very much. That wonderful presentation. Quite a lot of information there to digest. But just again, a reminder, especially for participants, that if you have any questions, please be brief and concise, because we want to move on to the other presentation as well. Those that are online, do you have any questions, any comments, any brief remarks? Since Mr. Raymond is offering us the opportunity. Anyone?
We can do this talking.
Is it on?
Yes, hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Go ahead, there.
This is Mr. Abner Bakab here. Thank you very much for the presentation. I was looking at the video. Very, very vital and important, no? I was looking at that video when it was talking about the tourist app and many services that can be available through the app. I think it's something that we could adapt here in Belize. and could definitely work for our tourists, for our community as well, no? In the case of emergency accident, scuba diving emergency, to be able to get emergency services, the police, the Coast Guard, or all these services that are available would be something that would be of great benefit to our country, no? So I think this is something that we could probably work together, working together. I don't know if you guys are aware as well that the Belize National Fire Service as well is implementing ambulance service under the fire department as well. So maybe it's something that you guys are not familiar with, but it's coming along slowly but surely. So I just wanted to comment on the video that it is something that we could definitely use here in Belize, no? In regards to the gentleman that just did a presentation, thank you very much for your presentation, sir. Based on what I have been saying is, you're right. There's a lot of things that affect our tourism when it comes to accidents, emergencies. We cannot prevent accidents or emergencies from happening, but what we can do is we can be prepared on how to management. And this is something I've been going over with the Belize Tourism Board for a while now, in training our personnel, our tour guides, our tour operator to have good first aid kits on board, and ensure that our tour guides and tour operator take the necessary training when it comes to CPR and first aid. I've always said, for us to save someone, we have to start thinking from the worst case scenario coming down, rather than thinking from the least scenario going to the worst, no? And that is preparing our first aid kits or training our personnel. It's good to train them, yes, but if they don't have the equipment that they need, then it's not going to help much, to save a life. So I was looking at I guess it was a video or pictures on incidents that had previously happened here in San Pedro. And I do recall that one where the boat ran over the tourists, right? Negatively impacts our country. Sometimes we cannot prevent these things, but again, the way we manage it is important. I was fortunate to be part of a witness to the procedure that was followed, no? I strongly, again, do believe there's many things we can improve, to provide that emergency care or patient care, pre-hospital care, would help, because then the family members would see that at least we did everything we could within our scope of training to help them, So, and other incidents I'm familiar with, the one that happened at the Blue Hole. I know there was the helicopter who went for this tourist without any medics on board. The procedure there was, I guess there was a miscommunication between the tour operator and the helicopter company, So all of these things we need to improve to make our tourism much safer, and of course secure our tourism for our country of Belize, not only for our island, but all the tourist destinations here in Belize. So thank you very much for your presentation. Just something I wanted to throw out there and let everybody know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uncle, for that contribution as well. I don't know, Ms.
Yes, I was just going to say, I had my screen on full screen, so I could see my notes below. In terms of the survey that we did, in terms of personal safety, we are doing pretty good. In terms of the visitor feedback, we had 37.2% said in terms of safety, they felt very good about the safety in Belize, and another 42.2% said they rated it as good. And so the positive feedback in terms of safety was 79.4%. Of course, it can always improve, and as we all know, there is no country in the world where there is no crime. And so when people ask about crime, that's one of the things that we always emphasize, no? That yes, there is crime in Belize, but like every other country, there is crime. So we tell them that Belize is a safe destination to visit. But they want to know in terms of all kinds of things, crime, is it safe for children and what have you. And we promote Belize as a family-friendly destination. So thank you for that, and thank you for the opportunity to present.
Thank you very much. If there's any other comments, I will just.
Good morning. This is Christopher Rothing from Placencia BTIA in Chabalmar down in Placencia. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for the presentation. One thing that I would like to note for Placencia in particular, while we do now have a health clinic, staffing remains a problem down here. That really any assistance that we can do. We do have one doctor. He's a very nice man. But weekends and holidays, it is very difficult to get any kind of medical service down here, with Independence and Dan Grieg both being roughly an hour away by car. So any further assistance working with Ministry of Health to get us a little bit more doctor coverage would be greatly appreciated down here and would make the guests feel much safer.
Thank you. Right. I believe we have Donnie on standby. If there are no other comments, we don't want to take the opportunity. Yes?
Morning. Yeah, if you give me the chance, Roberto Canol here, San Pedro Tour Operators. Yes. Looking at the presentations that have been presented so far gives us a good idea of what other countries are doing, no? We have always been here in Belize. I have seen in many forums that I have been involved in that we always use other countries as a reference to create a better product for Belize. But I do believe that Belize is a unique country on its own. And what I say by that is that the crime that we have here in Belize, it's way different than other countries. For example, our bordering countries, Guatemala, Mexico, other countries in Central America, which are countries that we compete with as a region for tourism. Their crime is completely different. They have extortion, they have kidnapping, they have things that are very, bad, especially when it comes to the narco world and all of that. Belize, fortunately, we can say that we do not have that type of crime, which makes us different. South Africa, for example, they have major crimes that we don't even know about here in Belize. Our crimes that we have here in Belize are much smaller crimes. We have, when it comes to our tourists, I do believe that our tourists are in a safe country, which is something that we can always boast. And what makes it safe is the charisma and the friendliness of our Belizean people. We are very aware of who our tourists are and where they come from, which also gives, we understand the value that they bring to us. So it is something that I believe that Belize is unique. And what I mean by that is that we don't have a lot that we need to do, but we have things that we need to do. For example, I will always applaud the tourism, the police force, the TPU, the Tourism Police Unit, because they are the face when it comes to security in Belize for the tourism sector. Now, what I think.
Your commandant smiling here, Roberto.
Yes, because I know the work that she does, and I know the type of with the limited sources that they have, of how their officers carry themselves, especially in San Pedro. You know, every day we get visits from them at all tour operators' shops, and they are very respectful, very professional officers. Now, what I do believe is that what we need to do in order, in any place that you go, if you have good security, that is where people feel safe. And when you have good security, it means that your security personnel need to have proper training, which they have limited training, but it needs to be enhanced even greater to be a special part. They fall under the police department. Their task is not only to deal with tourism issues, but also to deal with police issues, which is something that I believe that BTB and the Ministry of Tourism need to grab more control of, to properly train these officers, and not only train them, but also capacitate them to have better equipment, be independent, somehow a little independent, but not fully independent from the police department, but so that they stand out more. Whenever we...
Roberto, sorry, I will have to stop you there, but we will have quite a lot of time under the general discussion part to discuss all these things.
Okay,
But
sure, no problem.
I want to thank you for your contribution. We have already Danny online. He's ready for his presentation. So Danny is BTB's marketing teammate for Latin America and Global Travel Trends Specialist. And he will be actually presenting and giving an overview of the movement of tourism and trends observed in 2024. So at this point in time, I want to welcome Danny. Please go ahead, Dan, with your presentation.
Sure. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Just confirming you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So today I'll provide an overview of tourism activities and trends. I'm Danny Compour. I work with the Belize marketing team on primarily growing the Latin America market, but I'm also a global travel trend specialist. What I do is really understand traveler trends and how it impacts Belize in a multiple different senses, on a human sense, on a marketing sense, on a product sense, on a readiness sense, etc. So thank you for having me. So a few updates on tourism activities in the past season. So there are 3 updates. The first update is tourist arrivals in Belize are expected to surpass pre-pandemic levels from 2019, according to projections from 2024. By September of this year, the number had already exceeded the total received in 2019 by 12%. So this demonstrates a real recovery in arrivals to the country. Most trips are made for leisure purposes, and you really see fantastic growth. And this is on trend with what we're seeing regionally as well. Now, we also have seen growth from Mexico entering Belize across all ports of entry. Comparing data from 2023 to the projected figures for 2024, the increase was over 126%. If we compare 2019 to 2024, the growth was 82%. This presents challenges in border control and the reception of visitors from the neighboring country, and it should be a focus area. Thirdly is arrivals from the U.S., the main hub for sending tourists to Belize. Over 301,000 passengers came from the U.S. up until September of this year, representing a 22% increase compared to the same period in 2023. As you know, Houston is the primary hub with more than 104,000 passengers, accounting for 26% of all traffic into Belize from January through September of this year, followed by hubs including Miami and Dallas. So great growth across the board. Now, there are a few initiatives that can also impact the influx of visitors into Belize. The first is the announcement of new connections with the U.S. So starting December 2024, United Airlines will introduce a seasonal nonstop flight between SFO and Belize. This service will operate on Saturdays through January 4th, 2024, resume from March 8th to April 30th, and again from late May through August 17th. So this growth in West Coast to Belize travel can really help in grow the types of visitors that are coming here, as well as the sheer numbers. In addition to that, there are updates in terms of the Mexico inbound travel. Belize announced the waiver of all border exit taxes for visitors from 5 Mexican states. Also, discussions have been underway regarding the extension of the Tren Maya into Belize, which could significantly impact tourism and trade between the two nations. So some good updates, and these are fairly recent updates on growth in both airlift and leniency in some border items from U.S. and Mexico. Now, I wanted to give an overview of 5 global trends that we're seeing that are trends moving into 2025 that can also impact the influx of visitors into Belize and are changing the name of travel, especially when you look at the Caribbean and Central America. The first is what we call hyper-personalization. This basically means that across 3 different phases in a traveler's journey, pre-booking, so before they book, when they visit the country, and then when they leave the country, they're expecting a more personalized experience, tailoring their preferences through data-driven insights. More and more hotels, tour operators, and destinations are customizing experiences from booking to checkout, where hotels can now predict a guest's preferences, right, based on previous stays or profiles, personalizing communication before, during, and after a stay, and then setting rooms prior to arrival as well based on guest profile. So we're seeing not only an influx or growth in travelers actually traveling from key markets, including North America, Europe, and Latin America, but we are seeing more and more travelers looking for these personalized experience, both in the pre-booking and the trip experience. So this is the first trend. The second trend, we've been seeing growth in solo female traveler. So solo female FIT travel, where more and more women are embracing solo travel. They're seeking adventure, independence, and a lot of this is due to safety and security. They are looking for places that are more safe, more secure, and also places that have potentially female-focused travel services. You're seeing more and more women and female travelers posting on social media, on online channels about their experience in different destinations, which destinations they felt went above and beyond in keeping them safe and secure, and which did not. So this is some growth that we've seen in 2024 across major international source markets, and something that we're going to continue to see in 2025. In addition, adventure and outdoor travel has seen a major resurgence in 2024, with destinations offering outdoor adventures from soft adventure all the way to hard adventure is seeing increased interest. Travel agents are getting more and more inquiries about hiking, biking, scuba, and wildlife safaris, mountaineering, skydiving, or polar expeditions as well. So this is some growth that we've seen, as well as camping and glamping. So only some of these relate to product in Belize, but it's important just to understand and get ready for continued growth in 2025. The next thing, which is very relevant to this discussion, travelers in 2025 are prioritizing destinations that are crisis ready and have strong health and safety measures in place. So destinations with strong healthcare infrastructure, transparent safety protocols, and flexibility in travel plans, like cancellation policies, will be preferred. Places that can provide real-time updates on local conditions, like public health, like weather, will build trust among travelers. So travelers are looking for crisis-ready and safety-conscious destinations. That is a major attribute of travelers moving into 2025, and is an important element for the ministry, the destinations, as well as operators, hotels, accommodations, F&B, that are working locally throughout the regions of Belize. And then lastly is a business and leisure. So with the continued rise of remote work and hybrid working arrangements, destinations are continuing to need to cater to the workation crowd. And we are seeing a growth, especially from North America and Europe, related to travelers looking for strong infrastructure, co-working spaces, Wi-Fi, amenities for these types of remote workers. Now, so what does this mean? In all these 5 trends, the ensuring a safe and secure tourism experience is very important. The UNWTO released a report recently on safety and security in travel, and identified really 3 fundamental areas: risk assessments, customer experience, and training. For risk, training personnel to recognize suspicious behaviors and indicators of potential threats, intelligence sharing, collaborating with international agencies to access up-to-date information on global security threats, customer experience, fair treatment, ensuring all travelers are treated with dignity and respect, regardless of where they're coming from, public engagement, providing clear information to travelers about security procedures to foster cooperation and reduce misunderstanding, and transparency, clearly communicating the reasons for any additional screenings or procedures to avoid discrimination perception. Now, it's also important in customer experience to ensure that across all ports of entry and all borders, all three of these bullets are kept standard and kept the same. Lastly is training. Regular training offering continuous education on the latest safety and security technologies, threat detection, and cultural sensitivity. And then cultural competence, educating staff on cultural norms and behaviors to enhance interactions with diverse travelers, promoting a welcoming environment, whether it be from Latin America, North America, whether it be from travelers that are coming in from Europe, from neighboring countries in Central America. These are important steps as well. Now, Belize is doing fantastically in many of these, and there are areas for growth as well to ensure that with the influx of travelers that are seeking more personalized experiences, more adventure experiences, and destinations that are safe and secure and have measures in place, that these three international best practices are abided by. And that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Danny, for that wonderful presentation. Certainly, there's great insight here on the new trends, recent trends. I don't know if anyone that is connected has any observations, any brief comments, or any members of the table have anything for Danny to leave. Anyone?
Yes, good morning. This is Mr. Bakab here. I would like to say thank you very much to Mr. Dani for that great presentation, especially the comparison between the numbers for COVID-19 and then for this year, all the way to September. It shows a great increase of tourism coming to Belize. One of the things I wanted to highlight is about everything looks great. One of the things I think we could improve with the Belize Tourism Board is to actually provide contact information of our different emergency medical services. I've been through the website a couple times, but I don't see anything that relates a lot to providing of emergency medical service, ambulance service, and all these numbers show the BTB website. So I think this would be something that, again, we're looking for the tourists to feel safe. I think this additional information on the website, especially when they visit the website for any type of tour or hotel accommodations and all these things, I think it would make them feel much safer. Just one of my comments I wanted to add. Thank you very much, guys.
All right, thank you too. Great suggestion. I'm pretty sure the officials from BTB are watching. They're connected, and certainly they have taken note of that suggestion. All right, anybody else?
I want to say thank you for that presentation. It's eye-opening, it's informative. It really tells us what has been happening and what is going to happen in terms of trends. So I really appreciate that presentation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you too. All right, if there are no other comments, we'd like to proceed. The next presentation is actually by the tourism security specialist, Herman Lees, and he will basically look at incidents and types of crime impacting tourism in 2024. He will actually include a review of incidents affecting the industry in 2024 and all the lessons learned. So I want to turn it over now to Mr. Herman Lees for his presentation. And then after that, we will open up the floor for general discussion. Okay, Mr. Beach, you go ahead, please.
Will I have control of it? Thank you. Thank you. As we review the previous presentations, in particular the movement of tourism, we can see that in 2025 we expect serious growth in the industry, and we have to be prepared for the influx of tourism. And so, as a part of this summit, we want to take a look at one, what do we have in terms of human resources to work within our sector in terms of tourism police unit. Then secondly, we want to look at what has been happening in 2024 in terms of all of the incidents that have occurred in this year. And of course, that information will help tell Mr. Abner Bakam, who just spoke, that indeed we do have a peaceful industry, but we also have incidents that we need to look at. As you all know, one incident can create serious problems for the industry. So let's look at the roles and functions of the tourism police officers. Okay, so the primary function of the police is preservation of life and property, preservation of law and order, prevention and detection of crimes, apprehension and prosecution of offenders. And we only just heard a few minutes ago of the work of the tourism police under the command of Superintendent of Police, Ms. Alison McLaughlin. They have been doing a phenomenal job, but as in everything we do, there's always not enough of what we have to do the job that we need to do. Tourism police duties. Now, we're going through this information so that those of you in the industry can recognize what it is that the police is responsible to do, and you will recognize that the broadness of their responsibility, even though you might not have seen them doing some of these things physically on the ground, in fact, their duties and responsibilities require them to do it, and in many ways, these are being done on the ground. So they are to provide safety and security of guests during cruise ship operations at Belize City and in Harvest Key. The Placencia Formation does that, and here in Belize City, the tourism police under its operations officer would go to the Belize City tourism zone. And if you are here in Belize City at any time, you will see the tourism police in numbers in this part of in Belize City itself. They do conduct business checks and inspection. They conduct tour guide, tour operator checks and inspection. They do preventative patrols, mobile, foot, bicycle, motorcycle, and golf cart. Now, these patrols are done in terms of golf cart around the islands, and many bicycle patrols here in Belize City, motorcycle patrol, and of course foot patrol here in Belize City. They conduct vehicular checkpoints, not just here in Belize City, but also at destinations where they come along with us, the tourism board, the enforcement team. They supervise the checkpoints as the police. As you know, we are not able to do it alone, but they oversee that the checkpoints are in place and they enforce the regulations on our behalf. They conduct enforcement operations with us, as I just mentioned, at different parts of the country, including with Colchan, fisheries, and TPU duties. The tourism police are engaged in manning of sites such as Lemanai, Alton Ha, do something here. Wow. Give Branch, St. Anthony's, Cahalpech, Caracol. They do bi-weekly rotation at Caracol. 4 officers are at Caracol, and every 2 weeks they rotate, along with TPU. At Caracol, we have BDF and the niche rangers. On the weekends, the tourism police do patrols in Kyle at the Welcome Center, and during peak time, Thursday to Sunday, they do 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. patrols. Evening duties along with Relief, San Pedro, Placencia, and Hopkins. Duties continue. The enforcement of tourism police regulations and prosecution of offenders. The tourism police are engaged in issuing of summons, cease and desist orders, and other legal documents on behalf of the tourism board. They support destinations for major events such as Easter operations, festivals, Lobster Fest, etc. The tourism police is involved in monitoring of water taxes, airstrips, and PGIA. They support to guests. Their support to guests are involved with loss of documents, crime, medical crisis, accidents, deaths, etc. Recent expansion of the services of the tourism police, and I think some of you may have noticed that the tourism police have established at the north end of San Pedro a police substation where they post 2 TPU for patrol and 2 tourism police at Secret Beach. The establishment of the new St. Vite Maya Beach substation with 3 tourism police officers. The establishment of Roaring Creek Post, ATM, Cave, and Belopan in the Belopan area. There's a new post credited in the Eastern Division, where TPU are posted along with Belize Tourism Board concert, release signs, Paslo, Swing Bridge, Battlefield Park, and you also come so now. If we go back to the video, and the first video where in South Africa, they are establishing zones where they post, I think they call them monitors. Here we call it concierge staff. These are what we are doing here. So we're online, we're on stream in what South Africa is doing. Not that they are taking the lead, we do have our initiatives here as well, like was mentioned earlier. TPU strength overall right now, for those of you who question, well, how much TPU we have, it's 90. And in this Eastern Division, which is Belize City, we have 36. San Pedro Town, we have 11 tourism police officers. Kikaka, we have 3. Corozal, we have 1. Orintua, 2. Roaring Creek, 2. San Ignacio, 10. Benquevejo, 9. Placencia, 4. St. Vite, 3. Hopkins, 4. Punta Gorda, 1. Leaderville, 2. And Mahogany Heights, 2. That's the strength of the police and their deployment at this time. Now let's look at the crime situation. Overview. The objective here is to provide a detailed breakdown of tourism-related incidents in Belize City in 2024. The scope is to focus on reported cases involving tourists in marine and land-based activities. Now, this report is a breakdown of the information that was provided to us by the tourism police of all incidents in 2024. TPU strength, oh, I'm going backwards, hold on. The summary of analysis. Total number of tourist-related incidents. Total incidents recorded is 10. And these are the type of incidents. Marine-related is 5. Crime-related is 2. Land-based related, non-crime is 2. and vehicle-related is 1. Type of incidents in 2024. Take marine incidents, there were 3 drowning fatalities and snorkeling incidents. 1 shark attack, 1 diving incident. Crime-related, robbery was 1. Double homicide, 1 double homicide, and this was at the marketplace in Belmopan. 1 domestic violence fatality, 1 vehicular accident involving tourists, and the other 1 fraud case with high financial impact. Involved parties, victims, there were 7 American nationals involved as victims, 1 Italian national, 2 Belizeans, 1 Mexican, and 1 Costa Rican. Perpetrators were criminals in theft and homicide cases, tour guide responsible for vehicular accident, shark attack involving wildlife. Locations were Hamburgers Key, Half Moon Key, Silk Key, Southwest Key, Glover's Reef Atolls, Barrier Reef, and Burgess Diver Belize. Locations continued. Land locations, Libertad, Market Plaza in Belmopan, Hummingbird Highway, mile 25, 36, and then urban crimes, Marine Parade, Belize City. Let's look at the distribution of tourism incidents by category in 2024. In terms of vehicle-related, in this pie chart, we have 10%. Land-based incident was 20%. Crime-related is 20%. Marine-related is 50%. So if you look at the pie chart, you will recognize that where most of our incidents are occurring, they are marine incidents. And then, I guess this would be finally, let's look at victim demographics in tourism incidents in 2024. American nationals, you can see in the chart, bar chart, that's the highest. Followed by Belizeans, Italian nationals, Costa Rican, Mexicans. Clearly, you can see where we need to focus our effort. In terms of addressing crimes, we realize and recognize that our American visitors are at the highest risk. Then when we look at crime incidents against tourists across Belize in 2024, we notice that Belize City has the highest, followed by San Pedro, followed by San Ignacio, Kikaka, Placencia, Belmopan, Dangriga, Arindua, Corozal, Toledo 0, but it is in that order. So again, I think we all know that Belize has the highest, Belize City has the highest level of crime. It is showing here in the graph. And we know that also San Pedro, we've seen a lot of incidents in San Pedro, and we need to focus a lot of our attention and work in San Pedro. And for that, the reason for this chart here is to tell our stakeholders where the greatest threats are and where we need your help. Because some of these incidents, in terms of when we look at the previous chart, they're marine incidents, and we recognize that San Pedro is responsible for most of those marine incidents. So what I can tell you is that our Director of Cruise and Capacity Development has been focusing on having inspections done in San Pedro of all the dive shops, because I believe some of the reports we have received are involving, for a lot of them, is involving dive shops, incidents involving drowning, etc., based on what the dive shops are doing or not doing. And so that ends my presentation there.
Okay, thank you very much. These is the Tourism Security Specialist at the Belize Tourism Board. Ladies and gentlemen, I will ask you to just hold on to your questions. I know there might be a lot of comments in regards to the various presentations made. At this point in time, we will open up the floor for a general discussion and feedback based on all that has been said, all that has been presented. And this general discussion actually will be facilitated by both Mr. Herman Lees and General Alan Osher. Maybe some of you don't know this, but General Alan Osher was the first Brigadier General of the Belize Defense Force. Am I right, General? Yes. And so obviously he has a wealth of knowledge as it relates to security and other issues. So at this point in time then, I'll ask Mr. Blees and Mr. Osher to open up the floor for discussions. We obviously want to focus on the various concerns that you, the stakeholders, have as it relates to security challenges. But we also want to hear from you as to what could be the suggestions, the best practices, how we can improve these challenges. So we want to encourage, obviously, participants to ask your questions. This is the opportunity. And so now over to Herman and General Osher.
If I may, I'd like us to focus our questions based on regions. And for example, we know that we have people in San Pedro who might have questions in relation to what we're doing in in San Pedro, down in the south, Placencia. And I just want to also inform you all that we have here online with us the Registrar of Hotels, Mr. Leslie. He is also available for you if you need to ask some questions. He may have some pointers you would like to raise in terms of hotels and what they're doing. I know we have Ms. Barsha Clark online, the manager of the Cruise and Capacity Development, and she may have some suggestions in terms of tour guides, tour operators. And so I just needed everybody to become aware. We also have the commander of the tourism police here, that she may be able to answer a few questions for you. And we have also the associate director from Niche, certain that she will have quite a few concerns in terms of what we are doing at the archaeological sites. But yes, please go ahead and you're free to ask your questions. I know we have Ms. Martha. I know we have people from all the way down by the Vicadam area online. They also can ask questions as they choose. I believe we also have people online here from the
Yes. Good morning, guys. Once again, I'm Roberto Canul here. If you give me the opportunity to address or to just comment. From what I was saying earlier, many of it has been cleared in terms of one of our biggest assets when it comes to safety, which is the security force that we have, the tourism police unit. Now I will just collaborate a little bit more in suggesting that just a little bit more needs to be done to train them properly, specifically in the tourism sector, so that they can carry out their job in a easier. But I believe we're in a good path. The numbers, 90 total for the country. I do believe it's a very low number, and if it needs to be looked at and increase drastically. It entails many things, but I do believe that it is needed if we're looking at safety first. So that is one of my comments when it comes to that. Now, looking at the reports for incidents that have been happening in the country, I think it was a total of like 10 of them. In the graph, it shows that San Pedro is the leader in that, but there are always I don't believe that it is that alarming based on the numbers of incidents, but it is the nature of when you have a destination that is the biggest tourism destination in the country, and we have the influx of so much tourists that come from all walks of the world and different. And what we are experiencing, for example, here in San Pedro, is that especially in the diving industry, it is a high-risk activity, an activity that requires certification. These certifications come with regulations. At the end of the day, each diver dives on their risk. Just like if you do skydiving or you do any activity that it entails that you could lose your life doing it. Of course, we have to make sure that as Belize, we have a product that our tour operators and tour guides are following the proper procedures to be able to carry out that activity. Now, unfortunately, Belize does not have regulations when it comes to scuba diving or snorkeling or that kind of stuff in detail that will then implement these rules and regulations for operators to follow. It is something that needs to be created, and it has to be done ASAP, because there are two things here. We are all concerned about the safety of our tourists, but we also have to be concerned on the protection of our stakeholders, meaning our tour operators, meaning our tour guides, our hotels. If we look at our biggest market, which holds a little over 60% of our tourism that visit our country come from the US, based on the graphs that you guys showed. We know that the US is a country that loves to sue. If you get spilled by coffee in McDonald's, you get sued. Belize is not prepared for that yet. But at the end of the day, we need to start gearing ourselves towards that. So there are many things that we need to do. Whenever we have an incident with a US citizen, the US Embassy will jump and make sure that everything is done to protect its citizens, and this is the Americans. What does Belize do in return to protect our stakeholders? We have had an issue here in Belize where a tour operator was sued in the US for an incident that happened in the country of Belize. Judgment came, and they had a company that has been in existence and has been a pioneer in our country in the diving industry. Over 30 years of business end up losing every single thing because of an incident that was done in the US courts. Where do we put a limit and we say, okay, we want to make Belize a safe destination for tourists, but we also want to protect our industry and protect our stakeholders? So it works both ways, and I think it needs to be looked at. And there are so much things that we need to do in order for that to happen. But like I said, safety is priority, but let's also look at the other part of this whole thing. Let's protect, because it's not only crime, it's also these tourists, and everybody needs to learn that we need to protect our natural resources. And we have regulations and we have laws. So it is educating them on what our policies are as a country, and also educating them on what we do to make it safe for them. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Javier Castellanos.
Go ahead, Javier.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I recognize everyone. I also want to recognize the TPU commander, Ms. McLaughlin. I think maybe she could, to the previous caller that mentioned about the policing, maybe the commander could explain the difference between security and policing, because you could have security, but policing kind of differently. Sometimes many people or the residents or Belizeans confuse the work of policing and security. And policing is totally different. Most policing will not do certain things. The reason is because they are actually trained to do policing, and maybe the commander could explain a little on that, no? Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Before we proceed, though, I just want to acknowledge here text from Harbor View Hotel. They have actually expressed some concerns with security related to their installations on hotel. I have the superintendent McLaughlin next to me, obviously noted those concerns. So I just wanted to point that out. There's Harbor View that the issues raised actually will be addressed or being addressed ready by TPU. So General, I don't know if you want to have any general comments.
What I'd like to add is that over the past 20 years or so, the tourism industry has evolved into what we know it today. It's not so much just an industry, but it is actually the major source of income for the country. And in many ways, the tourism industry impacts directly on people's lives. Even seemingly unrelated functions or related businesses are positively affected by the tourism industry. It could easily go wrong if security, a security situation would get away. And if we look at around the table today, you see an advancement of the interest being put in securing the industry. And the old adage of nipping something in the bud still holds true. We need participation. We need people anticipating at all levels. And most of all, we need communication. It is all very well to deal with circumstances and little issues by yourself, but with the wider community being involved, we'll be able to reorientate ourselves and adjust to meet any situation as arise. A recent case that was cited here of a shock attack victim repeatedly, not only the BTB but other organizations, fisheries like that, had cautioned about feeding sharks, especially in the blue hole. And perhaps that is contributory to the one incident that we've had over many decades of diving and seagoing activity. We've had so paying attention to the trends, paying attention to safety advice will also stand in good stead in preserving the industry. But best wishes for the rest of the conference, and do participate as we all are online here today and ready to assist. Thank you.
Very good, thank you, General. Are there any other comments, remarks from participants at this point?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Again, this is Mr. Bakab here from San Pedro as well, just like Mr. Roberto. No, I would like to say a great job to the tourism police unit operating all over the country, doing a great job. No, I personally think one of the things that can help our tourism police, our Coast Guard as well, is again providing training, education, and the supplies and materials they need, like first aid kits. Specifically all over the country in different marine parks and even at our sites, no, like the caves branch where I do a lot of cave tubing and all of these things. No, I think they said Mitch was in the attending as well. So this is something that they could probably provide training for personnel to be on site to take care of our tourists and our locals that might end up getting hurt to be able to stabilize the patient. No? This goes for all the archaeological sites and different sites in Belize, which would promote safety and security as well. No, specifically here in San Pedro, as we know, Holchan Marine Reserve is one of the most visited marine parks in the country. No, I think working with different stakeholders as the people that manage this place, like Holchan Marine Reserve, the Bacalar Chico up north, working with these stakeholders to be able to provide more emergency supplies, again, like first aid kits. Remember, in the marine area, we do a lot of snorkeling and scuba diving, so we need to adapt to be able to supply these first aid kits, like advanced first aid kit, oxygen units for scuba diving emergencies. All of these things. Again, working with these stakeholders, working together. Maybe the BTB cannot do it alone, but working with like Holchan and the Sartaneja Alliance for Conservation and Development that take over the Bacalar Chico Marine Reserve, we could be able to provide the training and the equipment and supplies for all these park rangers. No, with the Coast Guard, I know they have a base at Bacalar Chico. I think working together, I've worked with Mr. Chuck many times, providing of training to the Coast Guard, supplies. Again, if something happens up there while a tour operator is on a tour, they will be able to assist with the training and supplies and equipment. So there is something I just wanted to highlight, that we could work together with the different organizations to make it better and safer and more secure. No? I just wanted to throw that out. I have more, but I'll leave it for when we do the general discussion better. But just something I wanted to throw out there. Thank you very much, guys.
Well, we are actually in the general discussion spot. So, but thank you, Amber, for that contribution. At this point, I see we have Marshall Alamia hands his hand up. So we want to give Marshall the opportunity to contribution.
Yes, good morning. May I introduce myself? I'm Mr. Marcelo Lamina, has delegated to Maria Vega. He had to step out. He is also KBH security on the island.
Welcome,
But
go ahead.
if you will welcome me.
Please go ahead.
I have a few comments. One, to make note of the collaboration that exists with the conservation industry already, with the protected areas and like that. Because we are more into like appreciative inquiry, look at what we have that's working good and what we can build on and keep working positively. So that point we don't want last, that there's a lot of cooperation and collaboration with the protected areas around the country in terms of security and policing and joining forces. There's also with the tourism industry itself that maybe a lot of people don't know, but every hotel and every tour operator to be licensed needs to have their whole security plans, emergency plans, and have responsibility already within the industry. That goes with being a good service provider. And all emergency numbers and everything we have to have at hand as good providers in the industry. For Kikaka itself, what we want to mention, we were worried that we didn't appear in the statistics from Mr. Mosiah, but then we said, oh, when it's crime and security, you're happy your name not come up, right? But we don't want to be forgotten off of the statistics. But then we saw it come up again in the policing, and we said, oh no, there we are, second to San Pedro in the bar graph, right? So, but in any case, because of the issues being mostly marine, my question would be if the police on Kikaka can get a boat or allowance to be able to access a boat often enough for the marine sector. And then for Kikaka, if the expanding of the community can be taken into account so that the policing can be more equitably spread on the north half of the island and the expanding southern half of the island. So that sort of thing. And then I I feel for the Harbour View that's beginning to experience all these issues, but I must say that I must underscore those and more for Keycaker. They're like quality of life issues that come along with some of the tourism. It's the part of the tourism that we don't want, but it comes along with it. But all those irritations come, and part of that is like what was mentioned, like nip it in the bud, or if things were done according to regulation, we wouldn't have some of the issues. For example, even building codes and like that. And also things like beach management, beach like on Keycaker is always an election issue, right? Beach, and all it does is pit one citizen against the other. But really, some kind of beach management nationally should be in effect that would then have the beaches safer, both for people and for the ecosystem services that the beaches provide. For the little to no beach that Keycaker has, it always amazes me that the local government and the traffic allows traffic on that little strip of thing. So you can't even relax on the beach because something might run over your head or over your foot. So some, like nonsense things like that could have been resolved a long time ago. We're still talking about them, and I've been in this industry for decades, as well as the NGO that we work for, both the BTIA and the Friends of Swallow Key. We've been in this for decades, but it's hard to get everybody on the same page, because as rightly it was said, many other little issues not directly related to tourism then start to flourish along the way. But if we could look at some of the quality of life issues and deal with those, then other things would fall into place. Like we never ever solve the drunks at the door of the rum shops. They're still hanging around there, and our collaboration with the police is in different aspects. We do work with the school, but it's not always sustained. We have community policing groups that we plan together, but that again is not always sustained. Like somebody wants to rank up, and so they need to do some work with the community, and so we'll hurry pressure for that. But then once they get the next rank up, then nobody cares again about it. So maybe if there's some consistency and continuity with some of those community groups, as after all, it's not that we want more police doing more work, but that we get better citizens, right? At the end of the day, if we had good upright citizens, we really wouldn't need police. But anyway, so just those are some of the things that we've been doing. Some work some of the time, and then maybe we could build on the other things. I believe several of the marine protected areas people also have put in apps for reporting of their things, or have hotlines for reporting, which we tweak also. Not only, for example, Friends of Swallow Key keeps a 24-hour manatee hotline, but we tweak it to include whatever else people in our stakeholder communities want to report. So sometimes if somebody has personal issues, we will answer that hotline to get somebody over a crisis point. But so just these are just general suggestions that if we work together, we could maximize the beneficial effect. Thank you very much for hearing me out.
Thank you very much, Joe, for that contribution. I also want to recognize here the text sent by Victor. Victor, I just want you to know that we have noted your remarks. I have already forwarded that to Superintendent here. I'm pretty sure that she will be very busy. Yes. Okay. Right. But anyway, I just wanted to state that it has been noted. We have Roselia Zabani, who also wants to make a few comments or questions. Roselia, go ahead, please.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure
Please go
seeing
ahead.
all of you this morning. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this meeting. One of the discussions I'd like to have, which is something that I have been trying to address for many years, is the buoy situation out on South Waterkey. And I'm sure that is a situation also in front of Key Calker and San Pedro. With the amount of traffic we are having right now, the quantity of boats, it's not like it used to be. And this can jeopardize the client that is swimming in front of the beaches, laying in front of the beaches, and also those that are swimming from these catamarans that are rented by different companies here in the country. I know South Waterkey, some 20-something years ago, a client swam from one of the catamarans, expecting that the waterway between where the buoys were and the island was a no-wake zone and a safe area. And those people were swimming across, and a boat did not see them. And since the lady was snorkeling, there was no signage or anything. She got run over and died. I've been asking for this, and my information was that the Port Authority is responsible for making sure that buoys are being replaced. Weather conditions do take away those buoys. We had 6 or 7 buoys here. We're in a marine park, and also the buoys are used for anchorage instead of having the anchor thrown on the sea floor or the seabed. So that is priority here. When boats are coming from Tobacco Key or any of these places, and even some of them that are from the island here, they run that boat with a speed until they get close to the dock. So we really need to implement a no-wake zone in front of South Waterkey. And with the accident that happened in San Pedro with the young lady that was chopped by one of these boats that was coming back, I think we need to implement that no-wake zone in that area also. I would say maybe half a mile or 1/3 of a mile from any inhabited island. And I think it's in the law books that there is a law for no-wake areas around any inhabited island. In regards to licensing, I think that the licensing authority of the BTB really needs to look at what they're looking for at properties on the islands. Our environment is completely different than the mainland, and asking for security boxes and other stuff that are really metal does not last long. It's gonna create more trash. Most places on the islands may have, and if they don't have the security boxes, it's for a reason. But there is a security box that the management has in their area for safekeeping of passports and other items that guests would like to put in safekeeping. So also most of the resorts are trying to, at least I have been for the past 38 years, but most of the resorts on the island, we try to keep them as eco-friendly as possible. And this is something we would want to continue. I have always said that the overnight sector on the island has been getting top dollar for many years, bringing in a lot of taxes to BTB for the main reason that we keep the properties as eco-friendly as possible, and separate our garbage. Different types of garbage are put in different area. There's recycling. Those are the kind of things that makes us survive out here. Okay, so those are things that they need to look at when looking at these properties on the islands to give them their license and stuff. One of the things I've seen that I think could give us a black eye, and I've been saying it over and over, and I guess everyone here can look at this, Some 8 years ago, at the tour operators board meeting, Mr. Hallock was there. I had requested that the insurance company come in and explain to us what it is that they have in place for tourism, for stakeholders in this industry. There are a lot of buses out there right now transporting the tourists that are coming off these cruise ships. These buses take between 50 and 60 persons. They carry a third-party insurance that covers a maximum of $200,000. They can't get the kind of comprehensive insurance to cover the quantity of people in there. And if you divide that money by 60 people, it's basically $1,000 per person or $3,000 per person. That's no money for a medical assistance here in the country. So we really need to look at that. These insurance companies are collecting monies, but they're really not, and we are the ones, I think, that needs to look at it. I know quite a bit of people cannot afford to pay the kind of insurance that are required. Most insurances, mine, for example, is $27,000. That's not a little bit of money to come by. But you need to be able to meet nothing under $500,000 to be able to cover if there is an accident. So those are some of the things I think we really need to have a serious discussion with these insurance companies to get them on the same page with us. And even their costs is a little bit high. They've just been taking up their prices 100% more than what it was a few years ago. So I think that is priority. We had brought in RF&G as a company that I had dealt with, but there still wasn't anything clear when it came to covering this industry and making sure that it's covered properly. For security purposes, Commerce Bite area, I think the Town Council has been getting some assistance from BTB. They continue to say that that area is not within the town boundaries, so they are not responsible for it. As such, I know BTB had assisted them the other day in getting the potholes and the road a little bit more convenient to travel on. But really and truly, it's a sore eye. I've been told that by the minister that come late December or January, they're going to start to pave that road going up there. But there's a lot of tax dollars coming out of this area. And most of the guests, as soon as they get past the drums of our Father, it's like, where are you taking us? To the boonies? You know, it's really not conducive to take visitors on. And first impression is lasting impression. So that place needs to be kept clean, especially the sides of the roads also. Like I said, I asked for some help the other day after the rains. And like I said to the minister, even if it's a quick fix, we need something because there's like 10, 12 resorts coming out of that area that are paying tax dollars and collecting on behalf of BTB. Well, for me, that is it for now. I think I had one more comment for Port Authority. I'm happy to see that that there's going to be changes in regards to vessels coming into the country and people coming into the country. Mainly the vessels that needs to be covered by all these different departments. We have had a depletion of, I would say, 85% of boats coming into the country from year before last to now. And a lot of them are going to Honduras due to the fact that the overhead costs just to enter the country for a few days was too costly for them. And they felt more like it was a ripoff than anything else. And as such, they're either traveling in their country right at Puerto Barrios area, or heading on to Honduras, which do have very good diving that they come here for, and the waters. So I think we really need to look at that. I heard diving mentioned. I think diving has a lot to do with making sure that your clients are safe. BTB need to look at the quality of dive masters and instructors that are out there right now. I will tell you, from the time I started business, I had 2 American instructors that were here that really played a part in making this industry what it is today. The late Linda Carter, who was my instructor, that died in San Pedro a couple months ago, and another guy, Chris Berry. They have done a good job in teaching our instructors and disciplining those instructors over the years that they were here. The quality of dive masters and instructors that are coming out are basically in it for the money, and that needs to change. You have to understand that your guests must be safe, first of all, and then the money comes after. Okay, so those are my comments for right now. Thank you very much for listening, and do hope that we will get some boys in here at Southwater Key to keep those tourists that are anchored off here with the moorings. There are times we have 10 boats out here, and all of them are anchoring off on the seafloor. And this is the Southwater Key Marine Reserve here. So thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Rosalia, for your contribution and sharing those concerns. I see Herman is.
Yes, I wanted to, thank you, Mike. I wanted to address the issue of the diving situation out in the islands. Just to let you know that our Minister of Tourism, just in the last month or so, created a team of enforcement, which includes a dive specialist. And I don't know if you want to address and tell us what your field is doing in terms of the new focus on the dive shops.
On the diving itself.
Right.
Yes, well, our team is going out and doing inspections on all the dive shops, making sure that they're following everything, being extra safe, checking all equipment wise, both cylinders, everything. All their paperwork, making sure that everything's in order, and far to us just doing that, making everything safe, like they say, trying to nip it in the bud, prevent something from happening. So I'm just listening because I know all of these concerns, and I've been diving, I've been teaching, so I know the 2 sides. Yeah, and we'll make it work.
Okay. Just to comment on what you said, there is an equipment that we have here, and we've had it for the past 30-something years, that you use to check on. Maybe it's something that BTB can invest in when you guys go out to do your spot checks at these dive shops. It carries some little tubes in it. It's a long, I would say maybe 1.5 feet, or about 1.5 feet long, and it has some little holes on it, and it has where the air from the compressor is attached to it, and it has like 3 or 4 tubes that go into it, very narrow tubes, like a thermometer that goes on your arm, similar to that. And then what it does is that it tests the air from the compressor for carbon monoxide and different. So when you look at it, it shows you where the reading is, and if the gas is safe from that compressor, which is what at least we do that on a 6 months basis or 4 months basis, depending on how much we use our compressor.
All the filters, oil, everything's changed to that. Yeah, we'll be doing that.
Okay, wonderful. I don't see any other hand raised.
So
I understand there are two more, but I can't see them. You speak hard. Eileen Sanchez?
I'd just like to
Oh,
respond
yeah, yes, okay, good. Yeah.
to Ms.
Go ahead.
Zaki. Good morning again. Just an update on the mooring buoys. That the Port Authority is working on a national mooring buoy plan with the full support of BTB. So at this point, it's in document form. And so in the near future, in 2025, we should have the start where we already started, but the completion of this mooring buoy plan. So we definitely will be in your area. And then there is that individual responsibility of captains that they must adhere to the preservation of property and the protection of life when navigating. So there is that line where the individual must take that responsibility. But again, the Port Authority will be doing all that we can do to enforce the no-wake zone. There is the regulation that any land 100 feet away is a no-wake zone. So it's just to enforce it. So I take that your concerns seriously.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mike. I must say that if the laws or the rules and regulations are provided to us based on what the Port Authority requires, we'd be happy to assist in disseminating that information to Tobacco Key and some of the other properties that are around us for them to understand this no-wake zone situation. I think it's very hazardous. It's not respected. And as far as people are concerned, nobody tells them anything. So there's nothing more than running until you get up close to the island.
Okay, thank you very much. Joyce from Glitch wants to make a contribution. So go ahead.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. I just wanted to note that I took note of the earlier comment, and I also have been listening to Ms. Zawale, and she said I'm full, and I have been thinking about it for the past couple of weeks, also in terms of insurance. But before I get to that, I want to say that we all have a role to play in terms of security and ensuring that we, as much as possible, minimize any type of security risk or risk to our tourists that come in country. The Institute of Archaeology, we manage 14 archaeological reserves, and for the past 2 years, we've there's a new management at the Institute of Archaeology. We've been looking at all the gaps, all the challenges, and we've been learning a lot. So there's a lot of lessons learned, and we've been trying to put in place all the necessary policies and procedures so that we could ensure that we address all these challenges that we have encountered so far, and to ensure that we are more accountable and that we could manage more transparently. But one of the things that we have been observing is a lot of non-compliance, and non-compliance by the users of our sites, and also just various tour operators and guides that have just been randomly and all over the place exploring caves and other cultural other sites that are not open to public, which brings my point to the insurance part, because interestingly, we were having an individual visiting ATM, and that individual pointed out that she cannot proceed in, she was going to do like a little documentary for BBC, and she noted that the insurance did not cover for her to go all the way into the cave. So, which brought up the question about the insurance. What does the insurance really is covering for these tourists to enter these sites, especially high-risk sites such as ATM, the Acton to the Channel. So that is very serious. In terms of us enforcing, snitch is on both ends, the enforcers and the product service provider. So in terms of enforcing, we all have a role to play because snitch can only do so much. We are not police, right? So we need the police. We need the support of the BDF, especially in sites that are high risk, such as El Pilar, Caracol, and Tunich. Of course, there's a lot more to do. We've been doing trainings. We've been ensuring that one of the first training that our rangers have been receiving is the first aid training. Also the cave rescue training, which brings across the other question about what are some of the requirements that these tour operators and tour guides need to have in place to conduct certain tours at different sites, right? But at the same time, we as the the providers of the service, such as the tour operators, tour guides, we need to make sure that we are in compliance as well, because then we cannot put at risk the tourists that you are taking along these tours, especially if you know that you don't have that insurance. We have had incidents, as I mentioned earlier, where tour operators are taking tours to sites that are not even open for public visitation, which is a high risk. Anything could happen in those caves or anywhere that they're going. We've had reports that they've been going all the way into the Chiquibol forest, which is even a higher risk. So we as tour operators, tour guides, we also need we also have our fair share to play in terms of ensuring that our tourists are secure. Because if we allow our guides to take these tourists everywhere and anywhere, at sites that are not even open for public visitation, then we are to be held accountable as well. So with that, I just want to say that in order for us to reduce that security risk, we all have to put our fair share. Otherwise, it won't work, because police could do as much as they could do, Coast Guard could do as much as they could do, the BDF as well. But if we do not put in place the necessary structures and policies, and we do not comply, then we will still be putting our visitors at risk. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We have two more persons with their hands raised. We're going to give the opportunity now to Ms. Carlene Sanchez, and then we invite Abner to say a few words. So, Carlene, go ahead, please.
Good morning. Oh yes, it's still morning. Good morning again, everyone. So I'm speaking, wearing my cap as BTI Dangriga for this forum. I want to commend the BTB and Mr. Blees for bringing this group together. It's a very important time that we're in, and so I hope that this is just the start of future opportunities in bringing this group together on a regular basis to discuss, the matters of that concerns with our industry with respect to security. So for Dangriga, I guess more of a comment and then open to Mr. Blees or any other relevant person to answer, is that Dangriga, the perception is it's a welcoming environment for visitors to Dangriga, both foreign visitors and local visitors. It's a welcoming environment. People feel safe for the most part. However, the perception is that looking at the tongue, how the tongue looks, it brings me in mind, as we were listening to the various presentations, is like Dangriga is like the little south side of Belize. Whenever you hear of the south side of any area, the immediate perception is a negative one. Because you're seeing, lower, less infrastructure development. Overall, it paints like a sort of a ghetto picture. And then the investments that are now in the pipelines, the Welcome Park, the establishment of the Commerce by Pier, those are major investments that, if all goes well, should bring a facelift to Dangriga. However, what is being done? I know those investments are in the pipeline, but what is being done to address the infrastructure in Dangriga? It's like it almost feels, without knowing what is in the pipeline, it feels like we're putting the horse before the cart in bringing the investment, but the livelihood of the community, the people who live, will be providing these services to future visitors. The look of the town in terms of lighting infrastructure. There is a lot of dark places throughout the town. The street infrastructure, I know some work has started, but there's still a lot to be done. And also taking into consideration the increase in local crime. A couple years ago, this would have been prior to COVID, it was rare that we heard, violent crime in Dangriga town. And unfortunately, that has changed. So we also need to take that in consideration, even though it's not crime against tourists. For the most part, it's criminal behavior. What are the plans to address that concern as well? So those are just thoughts. I would also invite or suggest to Mr. Blees that probably in early January we look at doing a follow-up to the initial visit you had last year, where we bring the stakeholders together, where everyone can hear what the plans are for Dangriga in terms of tourism development.
Thank you.
If I may respond, thank you for your comments and also questions. And following up on our last stakeholder meeting in Dangriga, myself, Ms. McLaughlin, was there, along with the mayor of Dangriga, and we had some discussions in that meeting. And I came back to the office and I did some research on what are the plans for Dangriga, and I came across the Dangriga Tourism Master Plan. Are you aware of that plan, by the way?
Yes, I am.
Yes, there's that Dangriga Tourism Master Plan, and I did have extensive conversations with Ms. Labani in relation to how that would look and how we want to roll out elements of that plan. But I can tell you that there is tourism in Dangriga. I've looked at all kinds of different models for that town. And yes, indeed, there are concerns about the garbage situation in Dangriga and other issues that can impact the plans that are in place to kind of roll out a better tourism infrastructure for Dangriga. And indeed, we must come together again to have further discussions to see how we can, along with the mayor, to see how we can implement some of what is in that plan. Because indeed, there is a robust tourism activity in Dangriga, but we just need to seize upon what there is. Also, one of the experiences I've had in Dangriga, if I may very quickly, is that I wanted to mention to the mayor in Dangriga that I personally saw tourists walking along the streets asking for where the bus terminal is. Now, I don't know why there's still not a sign on the bus terminal, but I think we can begin there. We need to start ourselves in Dangriga to start working to build some of the infrastructure, put them in place so that we can at least start to improve on the outlook for tourism. Also, there's that part that I think tourists need. I've seen the police working hard to keep tourists safe in that area. And so, yes, we need to come together again and have a second meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I see here we have Abner.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yes. Yes, Khalid, you want to say the final remarks?
Yes, sorry. Yes, I was. I guess. Thank you, Mr. Blease, for reminding me about the plan that is existing already. So I guess I should really have rephrased how I put it. Yes, we know there is a plan, but what are the indicators of how the plan is going to be rolled out? That is where we are not seeing much activity in Dangriga as to or have knowledge of what the steps or the processes or the timelines to when we can expect to start to see some of that plan being implemented. And with regard to the bus terminal, I was in a meeting recently at the mayor's office where Mr. Gentle from the Department of Transport was invited to address our concerns regarding the bus terminal. So we understand that it's actually the Department of Transport that is responsible for the bus terminal, not the mayor's office, not the town council. And we also learned through that meeting there is a plan by the Ministry of Transport to rehabilitate bus terminals around the country, including Dangriga. So, and it has started already with the improvement in the bathroom infrastructure in Dangriga, but there's a greater plan to rehabilitate the building itself. And so it's just like the waiting game to see when things will roll out. But we know that that is in the works already.
All right, thank you, Khalid. We have roughly about 10 minutes before we begin the wrap up. We have 4 more persons. We have Abner, Conway Young, Dennis, Stanley, with their hands raised in that order. So we're going to ask Abner to please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Want to go over a comment that was said earlier in regards to the scuba diving standards. I know for a fact that the Belize Tourism Board is working on reviewing the scuba diving standard with Mr. Enriquez. So this is something that they are going over to ensure the regulations and standards for scuba diving are up to date, and that includes a lot of policing, certifications, getting certified people to be able to overlook all the inspections. No, so that is something that is ongoing. I know because I was involved in some part of it. No? One of the things I heard somebody else spoke about was ensuring that we have training, education, license, and certification. It's very important in all of the fields when it comes to scuba diving, snorkeling, procedures to follow. The procedures and standards are there for a reason, and that is to protect our tourists and our locals as well. No, so it is important to follow the regulations and standard. Here in San Pedro, I would like to invite the BTB or representative to come and visit here in San Pedro and look at the emergency medical services like ambulance services to ensure all the ambulances have licensed and accredited emergency medical technicians under Ministry of Health. This is to ensure safety and security, safety for our tourism, and ensure that they are getting a high level of pre-hospital care that is needed. Remember, these persons that come from the US, Canada, and different parts of the world are used to a professional pre-hospital care. So I think in Belize, San Pedro being the #1 tourist destination in the whole country, I think this is something very, very important we need to look at here in San Pedro. So I invite you guys to come and visit us here at Island Emergency Service, which is our ambulance service. No? Again, going and moving forward to making things better for our tourism, for our community, and all of these things that we are talking about. I would like to say thank you to everyone in attendance. Thank you for the invite. And I look forward to working along with all the stakeholders to make our tourism definitely more safer and more secure. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Albert. We want to give now at this point Conway Young the opportunity to make his contribution, followed by Dennis, and then Stanley, and then if there are no other hands raised, we'll begin the wrap up. So Conway, can you go ahead, please?
Yes, good afternoon.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So one of the issues we're having now, and it can be can get very bad or out of hand now, is that one part of it has to do with our tour operators out of the tourist village, in terms of how they're selling the Howler Monkey tour. A lot of them, if I could say, half of the tours. So this is the first issue. Half the tour that's sold out of the tourist village as Community Baboon Sanctuary tour does not come to us. Sorry, I'm getting are you guys hearing me?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead, continue.
Okay, yes, sir. So pretty much half of the tour does not come to us. They previously used to go to Shane. But as we know, Shane has passed away, and so they still stop on the road to the guys who you ask anyone, they told you that we visited the Community Baboon Sanctuary. If we can recall an incident that happened at Shane's place with the young man on the horseback riding, the Community Baboon Sanctuary got the blame for that. So that was stuck to our name, which that happened at Shane's place. And unfortunately, even the release from BTB did not specify where that happened. So it left it up to people to come to their own conclusion. So that's one of the issue is that the tour operators who sell the tour. So we're looking at a legal standpoint to see who all is actually using our name to sell the tour and not come to us, but stop elsewhere. The second issue is that, and this is the biggest one, is how they are selling the tour and how they're marketing the tours. Some of them are selling the tour that you will come and actually send bananas in bags with the guests, saying that you can come and feed the monkeys, you can touch the monkeys, you can put them on your shoulder. And then when those people come here and we tell them that we can't do that, sometimes they get very mad and they cause a scene, and it's bad for us here, and it's also bad for them as the tour operator, because then they get at some point, I guess they have to do refund and all that stuff. But some of our guys in the past have been guilty of doing that, but we have been getting very strict with them, and we're trying to weed out. And we have had people come to us and say, yes, and they brought the banana, they're going to feed the monkeys, and when we told them that they can't do that, then they just leave and go down the street. So those are the two concerns that we have, no? How the tour is being sold by tour operators within the village. I think it's misleading, and it can cause a lot of negative or create negative image for us as a sanctuary, and the work that we are trying to put in. So I don't know what can be done with that to see if we could get the tour operators from within the village who sell or market the tour, and have them refrain from misleading the people in terms of telling them that they can come and feed the monkeys, because we do know that if someone gets bitten from the monkey, as someone has said a bit earlier, Americans love to sue. and that can be a big thing, no? So I just wanted to bring those there because I do see those as some security issue. And just to repeat, the ones that sell a tour, misleading people that they can feed the monkeys and touch them when they come. And then the other set that sells the Howler Monkey tour but stops elsewhere to do the tour and does not visit the sanctuary. And if anything happened, we still get the bad name. So I just wanted to bring those to the forefront.
Well, thank you very much, Corey, for those remarks. Certainly, there are members of BTB who are listening and they have taken note of your concerns. At this point now, we will give the opportunity to Dennis. He has his hands raised up. Dennis, please go ahead.
Yes, good day everybody. Dennis Garbutt here, BTIA Toledo chapter. We have a couple of concerns when it comes to security, but in particular to BTB, and this concerns the Sapodillo Key Marine Reserve. It's a tri-boundary area where you have people using it from Honduras and Guatemala in particular. You get hundreds of visitors, if not thousands of visitors for the year. Unfortunately for us in the south, we don't have the kind of system in place where we have tour operators at hand and tour guides at hand for these people to operate. They go to the Sapodillo Key, which is that Chena Island hunting key. We now have immigration outposts out there sometimes with the fisheries people who is now co-managed by Tide. But my point is this: we as tour operators in the south are competing with these people coming from Livingston, La Buga, Guatemala, Puerto Barrios, and Honduras. And they're bringing their tour guides and their tour operator from that location, and they're doing snorkeling and diving. I literally started a dive business some years ago, and I'm competing with the Guatemalans on the same site who does not have a tour operator license. We have reported these things over and over. We don't know what this the challenge is with BTB and everybody else, or the fisheries department, why they continue to allow these people to come in. They get a head tax from them, but at the end of the day, the laws of Belize are not followed. And as a result, we have had different incidents and different accidents happening out there that is probably not reported to the Belizean authorities because these things are fully run by Guatemalans like they're operating in their country, which is not. This is Belize. And it continued to happen out there. One of the major things the authorities are make sure happen is that they collect the fee. But that's where it ends. If they're standing on the reef, they don't have a tour guide to do the activity. Our guides are out there fly fishing for bonefish, and boom, a boat will just pull up from Guatemala, just scare the fish off or put the people off on the beach. They walk around like crazy without knowing the rules and regulations. So that's a concern for me, and I will done right now, but this will spread a little bit to the Port Honduras area, where it goes to Snake Key as well. And these are some of the same people that Ms. Zamani talked about that venture farther up to Southwater Key and other place. They have the tour operators and the infrastructure there to take care of them. In the south, we don't, but these people continue to use it. They've been using it for way back, from the time I was a young boy. And the truth of the matter, these things need to be addressed as a country. Snake Key in particular, we have tide rangers that go out there, but they only collect the fee and leave them alone. These people have no paperwork. In other words, they probably have a paperwork destined for Placencia or some other port. And then they stop at Snake Key and enjoy the beach, enjoy the swimming, enjoy the snorkeling, and turn back to Livingston. These are some of the challenges we have as a close border country to Guatemala and to Honduras. I just want to raise that point that it is there if something should ever happen to these people, it's within Belize, and the truth of the matter, they should not be allowed to operate in that manner. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, everybody.
Thank you, Dennis. That's very important and very deep. I don't know if Mr. B has a response.
Well,
BTB is dealing with it.
I've been hearing about that. This is not the first time I've been hearing of this complaint. I have had conversations in different quarters to see how it can be addressed. I recall having or attending one of your meetings in Placencia, and somebody else brought the same issue up. So I'm a little bit puzzled as to why nothing has happened. I don't know if the BTB is the best agency to address that, but it is something that I will find out, have discussions with to see how that matter can be addressed.
Just so you know, the Coast Guard also have a base on Hunting Key, so they're there. They're seeing this. Like I said, immigration is posted there. Now we have no more fisheries department because Tide have a co-management agreement with them, and Tide is taking over the on-the-ground operation at the Sapodillo Key. So these are the agency that is on the ground, but yet there's a shut eye to these activities from the neighboring countries without the proper license to operate.
Thank you so much. Now we will give the opportunity to Stanley. Stanley, are you there? Please go ahead.
Hey, good morning. I'm right here. I was thinking about what I wanted to say, especially with all the stakeholders here, and I believe that it's probably interesting time to make a small presentation as such to the audience. When it comes to aviation in Belize, as part of the stakeholders with all of this tourism that is going on that affects everybody down the road. The other day when we had the storm Sarah coming in, one of the interesting things that we learned that as much as we try to predict and listen to Met, who are the subject matter experts on this and guide us with the policies and stuff like that, there's a lot of people or a few people behind the scenes want to know why we moved to close our airspace at a certain time, why we did what we did. And I figured this is a good venue to kind of shed a light on the thought process for the Department of Civil Aviation, because a lot of people are having wrong ideas of how what steps the director takes to when he makes these final decisions. And one of the major steps was that this storm was coming, and it was one spell stationary, then it started moving, looks like it was going to hit Dangriga, then looked like Placencia, then it looked like coming back up. In the most practical way, the decision was made that there was going to be a cutoff time, and we're going to stick to it. Because even if we allow the jets to come in that can handle the tropical storms, the small airplanes operated by the Tropicair, Maya, Astrom, and Caribbean will not be able to operate in this type of weather, which means that a lot of the passengers will be stranded at the international airport, and those who need to get to the international airport via air transportation will be stuck at their destination too. And while some part of Belize looked like the weather was holding up, when it comes to these type of storms, the weather bands and stuff throws out weather that is not best for these small planes to be flying in, and sometimes things like turbulence, they're not be able to predict because of the level of equipment they have on board, and it can be very interesting. And the last thing we want is to have something going sideways. So with all the stakeholders here and stuff like that, I want them to understand that when the Department of Civil Aviation, through the director, makes a decision to hold or suspend air traffic operations until the storm has passed and it all clear, and we have reached that final point where it becomes very unsafe to have any air assets in the air, and we also have to think about our air traffic controllers to get them back to safe places, either their home or different places to hunker down until the storm is passed, because again, they will be one of the first responders into opening up our airspace so traffic can come in. So that was just my contribution to this forum here, having so many stakeholders here to understand the gravity of the situation, because weather only plays a role apparently between June and November in Belize, and unfortunately it's a year-round thing. But June to this November, because of the hurricane season, our eyes and ears really peak up when it comes to the weather and what it does as it disrupts air travel and even ground and boat transportation. Again, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Stanley, for that contribution. Certainly, they have been noted, and sure that there will be feedback from your comments. At this point in time now, we are way past the time allotted to us for this event. General, I don't know if you want to have some final comments. General, you want this reached and any key takeaways before we actually.
I think we had a very good input from the various participants. As I mentioned earlier, there's a wide cross-section of recipients around the table at this time. I believe that any or indeed any incident that develops, we would be able to deal with. And I think that maintaining communication using this avenue communication that has been open now for over a year, and anticipating events or situations as they are arising will enable us to mitigate the repercussions within the tourist industry of any adverse. When we say security, but we also mean safety. We're not only looking at the human factor, but we're looking at the wildlife and the environmental factors that affect us as well. So thanks so much for participating and best wishes.
Thank you.
Up to you.
Mr. Lees, you want to offer any final remarks?
Well, I just want to say thanks to everyone for attending. Hopefully we can do this again next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In closing, I'll say this. Belize is the most beautiful country in the entire world. Okay? Small, but great in its natural attributes. And so, obviously, number of tourists will continue to come to Belize because of many reasons. Our attractions, the warm hospitality of Belizeans, our cuisine, the Great Barrier Reef, and other attractions. But paramount of all of that is the security of our guests and our visitors. And so I think that a forum like this actually was very good, excellent comments made, the contribution made from all the participants and obviously members of the security task force being here. So our technician as well, the IT guy who has made this meeting very easily. So from my part, it's been an honor and pleasure for me to sit here and be part of this important meeting. And like the general said, certainly we want to do it again. And so thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for your contribution, your participation. It's been a great meeting. So again, thank you. And with that, we close the meeting. Thank you. Thank you.
Good day.